Hi, this is John with Chest Freezer Cold Plunge, and in today's video we're going to talk about the 3 ways that you can create a do-it-yourself cold water practice in the comfort of your own home. So we're going to guess that you've already decided or looked into the commercially available cold plunges, and you've decided that for whatever reason that's not the route you want to go. So what can you do to create that regular cold water practice? So I'm going to start by saying that if you have access, easy access to a big body of water or a creek or a lake or a pond or somewhere that you can get out into nature and get your cold water practice done that way, that is an awesome way to go about it. So a lot of people live in cold environments, but they're just not very close to a lake or cold water that they can get to easily and quickly and conveniently, and so it's just not a very practical way to go about it. And certainly there are times of the year where that water just isn't cold enough anymore to really give you the benefits of that cold water experience. So the question is, how do you go about doing this at home? Okay, there are 3 different ways. The first way is hauling ice. The second way is converting a chest freezer, and the third option is to create a system, a cold plunge, using a chiller. So how do we go about doing this? First of all, with the hauling the ice, that could be as simple as going down and buying a bunch of ice. It might be 80, 100, 120 pounds of ice, and bringing that and putting it in your bathtub. If you don't want to put it in your bathtub, you could buy a metal stock tank from a Tractor Supply or farming supply place, or get one of those large Rubbermaid containers, maybe a 100-gallon container. That would do it. You just fill it up with water and put the ice in. If you're not sure about how much ice you need to get your water temperature down cold enough, you just figure out the number of gallons of water and the starting temperature. And I've got a calculator spreadsheet in my Facebook group in the files section, and you can find that by searching for Chest Freezer Cold Plunge, and it'll tell you exactly how much ice to buy that you can put into that tub or container to get yourself a cold plunge. This is the least expensive upfront way to go about it. It's simple, it's easy, and if you're not really sure about that you can commit to a regular cold water practice, using ice is a great way to make sure you're committed. Okay, because you have to go down to the store, you've got to buy all this ice, you've got to open up the bags, put it in the container or tub, and then you've got to do that each and every time. Do this for a week. Find out if you can commit to the practice. If you can do that, great. Then you can look at one of the other 2 options. So once you get tired of buying ice, or if you realize, if you're doing the math, hey, I want to do this every day or 3 times a week, do the math, and you'll realize that over time, regularly, this is going to add up and get really expensive, not just in terms of the cost of the ice, but the cost of your gas and your time. Your time is valuable. The next step would be a chest freezer. If you're going to convert a chest freezer into a cold plunge, there's a few things to keep in mind. We have a ton of information on our website, and I actually wrote the book about it, The Ultimate Chest Freezer Cold Plunge DIY Guide. It'll walk you through all of the different ways to do this. There's a bunch of different ways, from simple to complex, from less than $200 or $300 or even $100 options. Some people have even done free options for converting a chest freezer. You can do this very inexpensively, all the way up to maybe $3,500 for a very well decked out, very well equipped chest freezer. Cold plunge. So if you're looking for something kind of in between, you don't want to have to mess around with changing water, you want to have the water clean and ready instantly to go, that project is going to run you somewhere between $900 to $1,500 on average. It kind of depends on where you are in the world and what's available. The third option is to use a chiller. When I first started looking into this, it seemed to be a very compelling option because chillers are actually designed to cool down water, and it's very different than a chest freezer in that since it's meant for that purpose, it's very well suited for doing what it does. And the reason I didn't go with this option in the very beginning was because the chillers that were available when I first started looking at this in 2017, not a single one would get the water down to the temperature that I wanted, cold enough, like right around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 4.4 Celsius, without requiring special wiring or special electrical wiring. So that was going to be an expensive thing. And then the other ones that did do that, they were also very expensive. The ones I priced at that time were running about $2,600 to $3,000, and they went up from there, and they were also very large. Some of those things were, probably about as big as a chest freezer, and then they still required, you still had to get the tub, you still had to do the insulation, and it's going to require a lot of plumbing. You had to get a filter, a pump, you had to come up with a sanitation, or it'd be a good idea to do that. If you're going to go that route, you really should do a full system. So it's really essentially like creating a hot tub, but just with the addition of the chiller to chill the water down. So just like in a hot tub, you need a pump, you need a filter, you need something to clean the water. And whether that's a chemical like chlorine, or if you want to do something, if you want to avoid the chlorine, there's other things you can do, or you're using mechanical methods to clean the water. And I'll talk about water sanitation in another video, but this is just the big overview of those options. So if you're already an experienced maker or do-it-yourself person, or you've got experience with plumbing, or if you've already got a hot tub or swimming pool that you either built or that you maintain on a regular basis, and you really get and understand how those systems work, the chiller option would be a really great project to take on. You're probably looking at quite a bit more money for that. I would say a starting price now for the chillers, that system is going to start somewhere around maybe $900, maybe close to $1,000. By the time you buy a chiller, and that's not a very expensive chiller, maybe around $400 or $500, maybe $600 if you get a better one. That would be just like a 1/4 horsepower chiller. If you live in a very hot climate, you're probably not going to be very happy with that limited power of chiller. I would say that 1/4 horsepower would be the least, the smallest thing you could possibly do with a chiller, would be remotely happy with it. We've had people using 1 horsepower, even 1.5 horsepower. Someone recently built one. They posted all the pictures in our chest freezer cold plunge group on Facebook. And that's going to be a very powerful chiller that's going to do a very quick job of cooling the water down. If you're not really sure about the do-it-yourself route, you've never built anything or made anything before, you don't feel like you're handy with tools, what I would encourage you to do is start with the ice bath. Find out if you can make that commitment to the practice. And if that gets you excited, you can turn a chest freezer into a cold plunge. And we've just had a lot of comments recently from people that have said, look, I am not in the do-it-yourself world. I'm not handy with tools. I didn't think I could do this, and I pulled it off. And those kind of comments really inspire me, not just from a perspective of that my book or that our group could help people walk through that entire process and really make it happen, but more importantly, they got to enjoy the benefits of having a regular cold water immersion practice. And sometimes it's athletics, or it could be biohacking, but in many cases, we've got people that are absolutely changing their entire lives with their health perspective, physically and mentally, and that's the kind of thing that inspires me. So please like and subscribe the video, join the Facebook group. If you want to get in there and just start reading all the posts, we've got about, that group was started in 2018, so we've got all the years worth of posts in there for you to search through and get a lot of information for free. If you want to go that route, you can piece it together. We've got an FAQ for you to look at and read and really get you started going down this route. Otherwise, if you have questions, feel free to post them below, or comments. Love to hear your comments. And if you want to have a concise way to do this and explore the different options, kind of more concise and narrowed down without having to wade through several years worth of Facebook posts, check out my book, The Ultimate Chest Freezer Cold Plunge DIY Guide. Listen, I've helped more than 6,000 people in 90 countries across the world convert a chest freezer into a cold plunge, as well as consulted with other DIY options. I have spent more time inside of chest freezers on actual builds than probably anybody else, at least that I know of in the cold water immersion world. And just got a lot of practice and experience in helping hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people with questions and problems and challenges and overcome this. So we've got a huge, very helpful, very wonderful community of people who are who just love to help and answer questions. And so get into the Facebook group. You can do this. For whatever your reasons are for wanting to have a regular cold water practice, know that don't let the how get in your way. We can help you with that. So happy cold plunging.